Yeah, hurley. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Roman Puss here with a little discussion topic on whether we should summon for Raiden Shogun or not. Now, I could discuss Kokomi as well, but I think most of you don't care about Kokomi, but we'll touch on her at the end. But anyways, we're going to focus on Raiden Shogun because she's one of the big topics, and she's coming today, and she's kind of going to be a big deal. So, are you going to summon on her? Let's talk about a little bit of pros and why you would want to summon on her. What makes her good? I'm going to be honest, she's one of the best sub DPS units in the entire game. I almost consider her like a DPS, basically the way I have her running. I have her C0 currently. I do have her main weapon, which is also fantastic, which adds a lot to it. But if you don't have enough of the weapon, then you can definitely run something like the catch. I'll get to that in a second. But definitely one of the best sub DPSs in the game. She also gives you the Eye, which gives you Electro, which gives you elemental interactions, which interacts with so many other units, making her fantastic. Now, I actually run her and Kokomi. They are one of my best duos that I love to run on my teams 24/7. Or if you have someone like Zhao and you want to swirl every time, you can just sit there and Electro a Nemo swirl every single time as long as you have the Eye on. Or if you have someone like Ayaker even. But like my favorite is something like Kokomi. When you use Kokomi's burst, she gets the extreme damage with the based off her HP, and then you have the Electro interaction. And if you have a lot of EM, then you are just huge, mungus, and you are fat. And if you have someone like Miko, then Raiden provides a little bit of battery charge for Miko, and also just kind of stacks. They also kind of synergize here and there, increasing each other's damage both together. It's fantastic. Now, the other main point is that she's literally one of the best batteries in the game. She literally, you use her burst, all three of the other characters' bursts are up and are ready to go. Then you go through, you do all the combos, use your skill, use your burst on all three of the other units, and by that time she has her burst up. Now, her burst actually is quite expensive. It is a total of about 90, which makes it pretty pricey, but it ends up still being worth it. She just charges everyone. She gives the ER charge that you have like running on everything, and if you do run the catch, then that will give you extra ER as well. You want to have about between 200 and 250 ER. It's probably the most optimal for her, as well as trying to get as much crit and crit rate on her, which makes her just fantastic. Now, one of the main points and one of the main topics that you probably see most other YouTubers focus on is the fact that she's an excellent DPS and one of the best, probably. She's one of the top tier DPSs, SS tier, excellent, fantastic, God, Craigasm, beautiful, strong, amazing, like excellent DPS if you have her C2. Now, her C2 ignores 60% of enemy defense, which obviously you can tell is going to come with a lot of damage. That is only 40% of the defense that you have to deal with, plus whatever crit rate and crit damage that you have on her. So if you have the dollars to afford a C2 Raiden, then that's the path you're going to want to go. Now, that can be pretty pricey and it gets up there, but depending on who you are, I guess you can maybe afford that. And since this is a rerun, then some of you may already have her and may just be going for the C2 this time and only need to pull 2 copies instead of 3. But if this is your first time, then generally just going for a C0, that is alright. But next point would be basically she is literally the best Electro in the game. I'm gonna be honest, she's the most universal. Miko definitely does not beat her. I'm gonna be honest. Miko, unfortunately, this may be a hot take, don't hate me. I love her as a character and she is really fun to use, but I think she's actually kind of very mediocre given 4 or 5 stars. She's kind of like feels like a 4-star. If anything, she has quite the setup time, doesn't have huge damage, and doesn't offer that much. But Raiden offers utility, she offers the battery, she offers the damage, she offers extra tools for your other units as well as charging them. It is just insane. I know that kind of stacks is redundant with the battery, but basically she does almost it all except for basically healing and shielding. So if you want the most universal and you really like using Electro units as well, I can tell you right now, Kaching isn't competing with her as a DPS. That's just a fact, and you Kaching mains can't even argue with me. So sadly, that's what it is. And one of the other last kind of pro of summoning for Raiden Shogun is the fact that she has one of the best F2P weapons that you have out there. You can get the catch, you'll have to fish a lot, it'll take you a minute, but once you get the R5 catch, it actually is a fantastic tool, not the tool for her. Now, this kind of falls in the more sub DPS category. You're probably not going to be the most optimal for your DPS, but it is still fantastic on her and will offer you and make her completely viable if you choose to go that route. Now, the cons to summoning for Raiden. What is the bad parts? What would make you not want to summon for her? I feel like no one ever talks about this on videos, and so no one really focuses on these points. So you need some reasons of why you shouldn't summon on her. Here, I got you. Many hype and overpowered units are going to be coming out soon. You have things like Ayato. obviously is going to be the next banner. We have potentially Ayaka. I'm guessing they're going to do the brother sisters together. So I actually kind of need to pick up Ayaka. So Ayaka and Ayato is going to be fantastic. See if we can get them. As well as Kazuha's probably going to be coming soon after that. So we'll probably have Kazu or Ayato Ayaka next. Most likely, not guaranteed, but we are for sure probably getting Ayato. We have him for sure. Potentially Ayaka. If not, Ayaka might just be after Ayato. Not sure how Mihoyo is going to do that, but we'll figure that out. And then Kazuha is going to be sometime relatively soon, given we have to get him before Sumeru, which is going to be coming around the summertime. And has to be a little bit earlier. Kazuha has been even longer. He actually came out before Kokomi and Raiden, I do believe. Not Raiden, maybe, but I'm pretty sure Kokomi. So Kokomi is actually getting a rerun before Kazuha, which is actually surprising. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that is how the timeline went. Now, if you want a cheaper option for a hyper carry DPS, this is my second point. Ayaka actually does so much more. You have the cryo set that is probably easier to farm, maybe a little bit easier to farm than Emblem, I'm not really sure. But to get the tools that you need for Ayaka, you're actually going to get so many. You just need 4 pieces of the cryo set, which will give you insane amount of damage, and she also does nutty damages as it is. She kind of is a little bit easier to build all around, and she also has many tools for her as weapons. Your options aren't too limited with her. So if you want, you can definitely completely use her C0 and she'll be nutty. So if you want to run Ayaka, that is the way to go. If you want a super hyper DPS and you're just missing one, Ayaka will probably be a little bit easier and your better path. But if you're a whale and you can afford the C2 Raiden, then that is probably going to compete with Ayaka as well. So it's up to you. Depends on what you got. But Ayaka definitely is pretty fun to use, not going to lie. As well as Raiden. I think they're both equal in terms of fun to use. So Ayaka, for sure. She's samurai, basically female samurai. It's really fun. So next point is Raiden is, I kind of already mentioned this, is Raiden is a little bit more expensive to be a hyper carry and will require more investment. Not huge, but will require a little more investment than Ayaka, just because the crit sets, the way crit works with the cryo set, kind of makes it a little bit easier on Ayaka when you're dealing with crit rates and crit damage. So, and her weapon with the crit damage. So overall, Ayaka is just kind of a little bit easier, not significantly, but is easier to use than, or to build out than Raiden, in my opinion. Some of you may think differently. And then I'm gonna be honest, my last point, kind of the most important, is you will be missing out on Kokomi. Kokomi is fantastic. Well, unless you're a Giga Omega Whale and can just afford both, then that's a different thing. But yeah, Kokomi, you're probably missing out on her jellyfish, squid, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely jellyfish. Her heals, hydro application, fantastic. That's gonna get me into my cons for Kokomi. Kokomi. We're moving on. Raiden done. Kokomi next. Kokomi actually is one of the best healers in the game, in my opinion. She has constant hydro application. She also is a very good, very, very, very good sub DPS. Now, if you get her to C6, she can actually be just a DPS if you have the right tools for her. Usually you want to combine her with an Electro unit. Raiden Shogun. Just saying. Or you have Beto Official are pretty good options as well if you want to run those. Beto, definitely fantastic with her. Yay Miko, probably not as much. But Raiden and Official and Beto are your go-to sub supports that you want with Kokomi if you're running that. If you do have CP, but you probably don't. So C0, Kokomi, fantastic healer, excellent hydro application for your elemental interactions if you're running those. And overall, just she's there for your support team, and she's a great tank. If you have your hyper DPS is about to die, you can just switch to Kokomi and she can tank your hit. She has an excellent, this is the next point, is she's very cheap and easy to build. You can run it with Thrilling Tales, a 3-star book catalyst weapon that is fantastic and actually allows her to be the perfect support that you want her to be. Now, she's not going to be doing the sub DPS damage like I was talking about. I run the donut on her main weapon. If you want to run just complete support, you literally can just send her out, send her jellyfish, and then switch to somebody else if you want, which will help your hyper carry do what they need to do. So you can do perm freeze team with Cryo with Ayaka if you wish, or you can run her with Raiden and have Raiden with the constant electro charge. It's up to you completely. And what makes her easy to build is that her sub stats don't really matter nearly as much because you don't need crit stats. So all you're really kind of going for is just healing percent and HP and I guess attack damage if you want. Honestly, the sub stats don't really matter that much unless you're trying to build her as a sub DPS, and you probably want to start looking into attack or HP percent. Now the cons to summoning for Kokomi. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if there is any from my point of view, but if I have to be not biased, well, Raiden is probably the better option, more universally acceptable and tolerable and useful than Kokomi. So if you were looking for a more viable unit, that in Kokomi, honestly, just something that would be help you overall with your story and your progress and your abyss climb. Raiden's probably going to help you a little bit more than Kokomi, so keep that in mind, as well as these future units like Ayaka. We're not sure about Ayato yet. We'll see what the damages are looking like, but Kazuha is also fantastic and excellent support. So Kokomi, if you already have healers, then Kokomi you could potentially skip. The Barbara does exist. Kokomi is definitely better than Barbara. Definitely better than Barbara. So Barbara mains, sorry, but you're just wrong. But Barbara is a sub choice if you choose. Inferior, but sub choice. All right, so enough of the slander. I'm sorry, Barbara mains. I love you. I didn't mean anything. Don't hate me. But that's all I have for you guys. I hope this video was useful. Let me know what you guys think. Raiden Shogun or Kokomi, who you guys going to be summoning for? Or if you're going to be summoning for Ayaka, Ayato, let me know down below. But that's all I have for you guys. I'm your boy, Roman Puss, and I'll be taking off. Yeah, holy! Peace, beautiful people.